welcome everybody to our interview with the Porcfest producer for 2024, Constance Spencer, and I'm Jack Garber. And first off, Constance, I'd like to ask you a question about, can you give us a summary of your experience as a Porcfest producer? And what does it mean to be a Porcfest producer?
Well, the first thing to know is it's a volunteer position. So it's a lot of back end decisions that have to be made and a lot of moving parts that we try to keep all together. And I love that you have your bracelets on, Jack. That's great. Um, so to be a Porcfest producer, you have to be willing to listen to a lot of opinions and a lot of feedback and know that at the end of the day, somebody has to make a decision. And after taking the feedback from trusted advisors and my team, often that final decision is mine to make. So it's something that you have to be comfortable making decisions, and knowing that your decisions are not going to be popular because, some of the decisions haven't been popular. But I do listen to people's opinions of them and try to give people the reasons for our whys for certain decisions. But also it's a lot of fun because my team is great and they brainstorm, they come up with these great ideas. I've been involved in Porcfest as a volunteer since at least 2018. I think I did a little bit of volunteering before that as well. I ran registration. First I volunteered in registration and then I ran registration. So over the years, I've been watching the different departments and how they interact, and I'm very much an operations person by nature. My background is, you didn't announce it, but I'm also part of Jack's team. We're Independence Realty Group, and but my background before that is a lot of management jobs, hotel management, hospitality. So I do have an accounting. I shouldn't leave that out. So I do have a lot of skills that come to bear when it's time to create a budget and stick to the budget and, live our principles while running Porcfest.
Oh, great. And so for those who haven't been to Porcfest, what can they expect?
So it's a wonderful question. And I wish I had, like, I could walk you through what you're going to see to an extent, but what I've learned over the years is that everyone has a different Porcfest. So there isn't one thing that anyone will experience. My first Porcfest was in 2013, and I flew down from Alaska, and I attended a lot of talks, and I hung out with other Liberty folks that I'd known online, but I hadn't met in person, and I had this amazingly great time. My ex-husband flew down with me. We were still together at the time. He had a very different experience. For him, it was a lot of hanging out, meeting people in the community, and less of, people here in New Hampshire. And we both decided that New Hampshire is where we wanted to live based on the experience. But when we were comparing notes after the event, it was like, oh, I didn't see that. You didn't see, I didn't do that. You did that. No. And that's the first thing I want people to know is you're going to miss a lot because there's so much to see and so much to do. So know ahead of time that you're going to not be able to do everything. So set that expectation from the beginning. And also know that it's so customizable. Like you can create events even if you're a first time attendee. You can vend food, you can just do talks, and it's really so unique, and it's very, very friendly, family friendly. We have so many kids activities and new ones this year, plus favorites that have been around for years. So I guess that's the best way to explain it, is expect the unexpected, because that's the feedback that we get, is that people are like, well, I've watched the videos, I've looked at the schedule, but I had no idea until I actually attended in person how powerful being in the community can be.
So we're going to cover some specifics in a little bit.
Okay.
For the season Porcfest goer, what's new this year?
The decentralized hubs have stayed. Thank you to Dennis. Dennis Pratt for putting that model into place. It is now even more decentralized in that when you purchase your campsite at Rogers, you can, you purchase your ticket at Porcfest or at porcfest.com first, then you purchase your campsite at Rogers. And if you have those two things, you can send a form in on porcfest.com saying this is my campsite and I'd like to be a hub organizer. And once you upload a copy of your receipt from Rogers proving that that's your campsite, we basically give you unlimited access to create your own schedule of events on your own site. So that it doesn't have to go through me. I don't proofread them. We have a hub coordinator, Amber Daves, who is happy to help you with any of the software issues, or if you need help with creating your own hub. And hubs can be a number of things. They can be a place to have talks. They can be a lounge. They can be a place to vend food. So whatever you think Porcfest needs, I mean, we have pork showers because somebody saw that the showers at Rogers are not the best showers and he could do better. So he did. So that's a hub. So that's one of the changes for this year is that you can retain the ability to edit your events throughout. So if at the last minute somebody doesn't show up or has to cancel for a family emergency, you can edit your events. Another thing that's not new, but it's coming back, is that we're going to have the printed program with articles from the platinum sponsor, and me as the producer, Jason Sorens, and some other folks. I won't give the whole thing away, but there will be a print schedule that includes FSP events that haven't changed because unfortunately everything changes. and also, so you want to have your print schedule, but also check the website while you're up there.
So we're gonna go over the new calendaring system and the scheduling system and give a brief demonstration of that in just a little
Okay.
bit.
So, but I just wanted to say that that is back. It's not necessarily new, but it is back for this year. There used to be a printed program, and we got a lot of feedback that was a really nice thing to have.
I've seen the advanced copy and I can say that it looks great. There's been a lot of time spent by your people to get that completed, I can tell. So one of the big events is always the speakers and the speaker lineup. Who are we gonna hear from, and what's gonna happen this year?
Well, we're going to hear from a lot of people. I'm not going to remember them all. So I do have to refer to, notes for this part, but obviously I can name some off the top of my head. The biggest one after last year is people are like, can we please get Ron Paul? And we tried, but unfortunately coming to the White Mountains in person was not something he was up for, but he is going to join us virtually in an interactive, like we will ask questions, he will answer live, real time in the pavilion. So he's our keynote for Saturday at 11. And anyone who's been to Porcfest before knows we have small TVs that we put on the stage, but we know that's not good enough when your keynote speaker is virtual. So we've upgraded the screen and it will be 12 feet by 7 feet tall, basically a huge TV in the pavilion. So since we have that, we've also let other people know it's available. So expect like emo night to put on a pretty awesome show using that. We also have Spike Cohen who's coming. And let me refer to notes because I did not organize the speakers. That's the great thing about having a team, is that you have different people with different talents doing different things. And Olga Sorens spent so much time creating the programming for Porcfest. She gets huge amount of kudos for doing this and reorganizing it as people have to change for last minutes. For instance, one of our last minute, if you saw the email that went out from Eric Brakey today, that Naomi Wolf was going to be there. So that's a repeat speaker from a couple years ago. We're excited to have back. Obviously, Jeffrey Tucker is going to be there. He's one of our platinum, he's actually our platinum, no, I'm sorry, diamond sponsor. He was our first diamond sponsor to commit, so we want to thank Brownstone for that. And he will be there. Gene Epstein will be there. He's got some Soho debates scheduled. David Freeman, who loves Porcfest and comes, I think almost, I mean, every year that I can remember that I've attended, I believe he's been there. And then Lily Tang Williams is going to be there, which I think is great. You know, she's really hit trending after her ending the gun debate comment, and she's an awesome potential person for us to be paying attention to for her Senate campaign. Mike DeMar. No, I'm sorry. I said his name wrong. Did I say it right? Anyway, the recently selected Libertarian vice president candidate nominee is going to be there. I don't know if you want me to keep going or if that's enough. I guess
No, there's gonna be a lot of people from the community itself.
Yeah, and that's just the main stage. We have Liberty 101, and then we have the hubs that will be putting on their own speakers. So
Right. Joel Venezuela will be there.
Yeah.
You'll have Eric Brakey is gonna do a presentation. There's going to be a lot of the individuals who help build and make up our community.
Yes, and we did try to mix it up. We've got some out-of-state speakers. Olga was very clear that we wanted to feature some local people, like Melissa Cream was one of our first announced speakers, so she's going to talk about the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance. Just a lot of variety, and then obviously, again, we have hubs that are doing their own thing completely.
So as part of the entire decentralization, you've now created a calendar system that coordinates who's speaking where and when. Do you want to give us a preview of the calendar system?
Yes, I do, because this is my baby. As much as Olga took care of the programming. Miranda, can you allow screen sharing? As much as Olga took care of the programming, I spent a lot of time working with Katie May. Katie May is the name of her business. She was able to take what I wanted to see happen with the map and the schedule and make it interactive, like I said before, and she found a way to do it and outlined every campsite. And let's see. And so this is now I am signed in to my admin account right now. So I might actually sign out and sign into my other one, but at the moment, this part is all going to look the same. So this is our schedule based on the week view. And important things to note, first of all, when you buy your ticket, it's actually bought on a different website and then transferred over here. So you might have a little bit of a delay before you can sign in, but you can sign in right at the top. And once you're signed in, it'll tell you what your permissions are. So I have RV Site 90 and I'm a hub organizer under my non-admin account. So this would look very similar. Site 90 is very close to where I'll be camping. It's actually should be 91, but I must have picked the wrong one. But our hub coordinator will be on 90, so you can find us there. So this defaults to a day view because on your smartphones, it looks easier to read in this format. You can, if you're going to decide where you want to go and look through the schedule ahead of time, which I highly recommend. I 100% want everybody to at least sign on to the website ahead of time so that you're not at Rogers Campground trying to do a password reset. If you have a ticket and you use the email address for your ticket, you should be able to do a password reset yourself and get in without anybody in our volunteer team helping you. But if you do it ahead of time, that's great. So all these different colors.
That looks awful busy.
Yeah, all these different colors.
Why don't you try filtering it down?
Sure.
Might as well go to the IRG site.
All right. So there's actually a number of different ways we can get to the IRG. Independence Realty Group. We can do it by deselecting all the other people's calendars. And then
so that was an important feature you just clicked on.
Yes.
To deselect, you actually select all.
Yes.
At the top.
Yes. Yeah.
So when you click on that down arrow, or the arrow in there, there's a select all,
but it also deselects.
Which also deselects, right?
Yeah, it just toggles them.
That's a little trick that you have to figure out.
And then also to get this out of your way, you have to hit that arrow again.
So once you figure out that, then you can select a particular site. And you pick the IRG site for the week.
Yes. So these are different events that we're going to have, including one of the speakers that I personally invited was Dana Martin. And so we're going to have a meet and greet for Dana and the IRG tent. We're going to have lunch with Spike Cohen, a meet and greet. We're going to have obviously some things about New Hampshire, opportunity for people from other regions to meet ahead of time, something that Dennis started. That was a great feature. We're going to have some education handles. So
let's get on that for just 1 second, because
sure.
that is important. And one of the things I think people are going to notice, even though we are a real estate site, we're doing less real estate this year. We're doing more comfort. We're doing cocktail parties. We're doing breakfasts. We're doing the item that you just mentioned, and that is the U.S. region. And that was something that we did last year. I was a host of those region talks last year, and we had great turnouts. So individuals from the various regions across the states, combined the states, can come and they can meet other people who are either living here in New Hampshire now or plan on moving to New Hampshire. And the basic premise is to encourage those who come to Porcfest to come join you and make the move here to New Hampshire from whether it's California, whether it's Alabama, whether it's Michigan. Once they get to see individuals from their local communities there, meet those people, maybe it'll encourage them to move.
Yep. And let me go back. While you were talking, I selected for food, but let me now select for our location. Excuse me, our location. So these are what you're talking about. Now I'm just to open one up so people can see what the events look like. So well, there's a comment from Dennis on our event, so that's great. So this says, this is the South Atlantic states are invited to this one. So if you know folks
even though it says New England State meetup.
Oh, it does. Okay, so
probably should have been said the South Atlantic state, but anyway, that's something we'll fix.
Yeah, we'll fix that. So it shows the location. So this is where our tent's going to be. The gallery shows the actual states that once we edit the title, I mean, we'll so, and then a comment from Dennis about things that another event that you can attend if you're interested in that. We're getting a forecast, so you can see the weather in Lancaster. Actually, this is probably the weather in Manchester at the moment. And then a little blurb about Independence Realty Group. So that's all stuff that you can click through. You can RSVP, you can set an alert to let you know on your device that you want to go to that. And
So
then if
that
it's
will give you an alert on your own personal device when you
yeah,
set up your calendar.
yep. And then you can share it on all the major social media platforms. So if you want to search Facebook, X, WhatsApp, Messenger, maybe this one, I don't even know what all these are. That's Telegram. I've shared a few times to the Telegram attendee chats, different things if you want to embed it and if you just want to copy the link. So it's super convenient for all those things. If you don't want to use social media, you just want to share a link with your friends, you can do that. And you don't, it's all right on porcfest.com. You're not going to another site.
And if you create a hub or create an event for your hub, you'll have access to put these items on calendar and also access to edit them. Like
Yes,
that particular one requires an edit right now.
yes,
Which,
yeah, which shows up down
I
here.
added those, so that was probably my mistake.
Right down here is the edit for if you're the hub organizer.
Right.
So let me also, we haven't covered everything.
Before you do that, let me ask
Okay.
you a question. This, when you hovered over the top of the event, it gave you a description of the event as well. So it's really interactive in that way.
Yeah, yeah. So when you open it, you can see more, but when you just hover over, you can see some. I think I need to move my screen up a bit.
Yeah.
And then also there's other different ways to view it. There's agenda view, which I honestly haven't used this one enough to know what agenda view is. I don't know if it's things, yeah, I'm unsure. Oh, maybe it's because I'm filtered for that I see. Because I'm still filtered for the location of our tent, it's showing me the all volunteer hands meetings because we're going to do those in the morning there. And then, so this would look different if it was filtered for everything. So these are our events these are the events that are in our hub. It is not only our events. We have some guests who are using our space, and I actually have some more that have requested it. And then this is my favorite feature. I guess actually before I go to that one, I'll just say up here, there's another drop-down menu. This drop-down menu is only if you're going to export. So do not try to filter by this one. The filters are down here. And then, yeah, you can filter by guests, but we don't really have a lot of the guests that have been entered, but you can filter by organizers. So, but this is my favorite. This is the map, and I need to undo. I'm going to select all for the location so people can see. Ta-da! And this is what I really, really wanted. I wanted people to be able to see, like, if you see something great happening over here and you want to see what it is, you can just click that and it'll tell you that it's RV site 72. You're like, yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Something cool's happened on RV site 72. What is it? And then you know what's going on. You can scroll through the events and or let's do Dennis's hub, who is a libertarian. Like, oh, they're having a great debate there. What are they debating? Do I want to join it? You can see it's RV site 122, and it's you can tell from what part of the campground what things are close by what you're doing. So that's really cool. And then of course we have the entire campground. It's got, we got the gazebo. I do have to add the field still for some events on the field, like the porcupines are going to launch their missiles again on the field. So anyway, I love this particular feature, and then the FSP events are all featured events. So that does make them a little easier to find as well. Because people complain with all these other events going on, how do we find out what are the events hosted by the Free State Project? So all the Free State Project events are featured.
Yeah, and that's a great addition. Just whether you're hosting a hub or whether you're just attending, and in order for people to figure out what they're doing and where, and what exactly what's going on at all hours of day and night at Porcfest.
And I don't know if you could see that, but the before I opened that one, there's a little star here. For the darker blue are the pavilion, the lighter blue are the 101 events. So that's the interactive map schedule that I've been spending a lot of time. I wish we had more time to run through it before we released it, but when you're an all volunteer organization, sometimes we can't do the way we would release something like this if we had a budget. So
that looks great. So let me go on. Let me move on to to something else, and that is the facility, that the Rogers Campground itself. Through the number of years that I've been there, there's been issues with water, there's been issues with restrooms, there's been issues with the facility itself. A lot of that we don't control because it is their property. But I understand that this year you've taken some steps to improve the facility for Porcfest.
Yeah, it's always a balance, right? Because we don't want to fix up the campground that we don't own, but we want to keep our attendees, happy and as safe and healthy as you reasonably can do. And so we have almost double the number of porta potties we're going to have. We've also limited ticket sales to a smaller number than the last couple of years. And although we have had a lot of tickets, we're not at the capacity that we have been, because we found that breaks the campground. So we've tried to cut that off. The tickets are more expensive this year, as people have probably noticed, but a lot of the money that has gone to the higher ticket prices are going to, we're going to have restroom trailers. So there will be 2 flush restroom trailers that will be independent of the Rogers water supply. So if there's any water outages, those will not need to be shut down. So we'll have flush toilets with water, and obviously the porta potties, and we've upped those. And the big announcement is that we're going to bring in a water truck this year. And I am not joking when I say that just to get this truck committed to coming to our site, since they have so many government regulations about water, has been a huge battle, and we have to hand it to our facilities lead, Tim. He just put in so much work to get it done. So we will not be distributing potable water, because that is another 300 pages of regulations that we cannot, we would have to meet, because Rogers water is considered a public utility in New Hampshire. So without, getting too deep in the woods of why it's going, or into the weeds of why it's going this way, the plan right now is that we will take the water from the truck, put it in I'm gonna draw a blank on the name of the totes, but the big totes, like Pork Showers has used. And from there, it can be distributed into people's 5 gallon or so containers that you bring. So if you buy, one of those 5 gallon things of drinking water and it's empty, you can get it refilled with non-potable, non-drinking water that you can use however you feel comfortable using. And we have to say it that way apparently because there are more regulations and no clear guidelines of what non-potable water is allowed to be used for. So make your own decisions, personal responsibility, but there will be water on site. And I'm hoping that without breaking any law or regulations, that people will feel comfortable that if they go on site this year, there will be a place for them to use the bathroom and wash their hands when they're done the entire week. So yeah, that was the goal. We do not want another situation where there's 24 hours of no one on site having any water. And so it's not a small expense either. It's a pretty big expense to get a water truck on site that we might not even need.
So sounds to me like we have some regulations that we have to look at.
Yes.
So we can, so we can just run Porcfest, properly in the future as well. So running into the government regulations again.
And we, obviously there are, as Porcfest producer, I'm producing this year. I'm not making decisions for the FSP's events for the future, but both Tim and I have looked around Rogers Campground and we see that it's an older facility, and who knows, there might be a point in time in the future where the FSP says, we're gonna move this into a field. And if that's the case, Tim has figured out the water distribution system already, and that's a huge benefit when the time comes for that to happen, if that time ever comes. So I think it's if you see him at Porcfest, please thank him for all his hard work. Anyone on the management team, we've been meeting weekly since the last Porcfest ended, so it's been entertaining.
So I've heard through the grapevine that there are some new policies, some new rules, and new security measures. You want to go through some of those?
So actually, they're not super different. We did ask that the Body Freedom Village move into a place where they can be more free without people walking by who are not expecting them. And let me
just make it clear. You have not banned the Body Freedom Village.
Oh gosh, no. As a matter of fact, I do believe I'm the first producer that's ever officially put them on the FSP's map, and not just kind of said, well, there's a hub and they're doing their own thing. But I want nudity to be something that people expect at Porcfest, but I also want them to expect it at Porcfest in an area that it's been approved. And me personally, not as producer, like what I say as producer versus what I say as Constance can be different. And I would have loved for nobody to have a problem with the naked body every year that we've ever had a Porcfest, but unfortunately that's not the case. And so we made changes.
With your new setup, for those who don't have that same comfort level, the attendees can rest assured that in their section that nudity is not going to be permitted. Is that correct?
It's not permitted to be visible from the roads. So it is completely permissible that anybody use their site for their activities. But if their activities are something that is full nudity, sexual, doing something that would not fly if if your mom walks past and little kids walked past, then we want you to do the cultural courtesy thing and put up some barriers so you can do those things inside your tent. I've had a lot of people say, hey, I had nudists at my site last year and I was totally okay with it. And they were in my tent and I'm like, nothing has changed for you. Nothing at all. If you want to host an event that is specifically for allowing nudity, then you just have to let us know so we can put it on the calendar as, we actually have a clothing optional rave happening in the pavilion this year. So that was approved, we're gonna put the signs down, we're gonna let everybody know this is a clothing optional rave. If you don't want to see naked bodies, please don't attend that. But if you do attend, please don't then complain to me that you saw naked people at Porcfest, because yeah, they're welcome guests. So that's the change this year, and
All that is new. Yeah,
all
that's
most
okay.
of that is a slightly different, tweaked, I would say, more than new. Last year there was no nudity on the roads either, and in my mind it was clear that that meant it shouldn't be visible from the roads, but it wasn't explicitly stated. So that's what we did to clarify what I had taken that to mean when we said no, not in the comments.
Right. So look, in general, it's meant to be family friendly. It's meant to be an event and a festival that is comfortable to all, and that's what you're trying to make.
I I do think it's a family friendly event, and there's a whole lot of families that I'm friends with that are totally fine with naked people walking around. So I don't want to make it sound like nudity is not family friendly, but I do know that the FSP is an outreach, right? This is the biggest outreach event of the year. And so we want people of all spectrums of liberty to feel comfortable at this event. And that is why we made the decision that we did. And it's not the only change that we've made. Obviously, the bigger issue was definitely the facilities. So we put more effort into that than we did. We set a policy and we kind of moved on. So that's, but you also asked about security, and one of our sponsors this year is creating an app that will let rangers or free aid know if somebody is in distress. And it's completely voluntary as well. There was also a moment where people were saying that, we're going to be tracking, we're going to be requiring people to like wear wristbands. And those are things that are on this particular sponsor's website because it's made for raves, but it's not what's going to happen at Porcfest. It's what we are doing, what they are doing as a sponsor is giving people an opportunity to see their app ahead of time and kind of demo it. So it's kind of neat that if you want to opt into that, you would be then have a way to be able to reach the rangers. And I don't know how, because it's a new app, I don't know if they've got these features yet, but there's also supposed to be features in the future where you can keep track of like other people's in your party. So
fantastic. Okay, and just finally, I've heard the ticket sales are pretty strong, but there are still tickets available for Porcfest. The ticketing system I know is not necessarily and doesn't really fall under your bailiwick, but it's FSP ticketing. So tickets are weekly tickets. We don't have daily tickets, and there haven't been daily tickets for Porcfest for a number of years.
There is a way though to get a day ticket if you're willing to volunteer for 4 hours. So you can reach out to Chris Lopez if you're interested and are only available to come for a day, but you're willing to put in 4 hours of work for that in that day, which in a typical Porcfest day gives you what, 12 more hours easily of enjoying the festival. So that is the only way to get a day pass, is to volunteer.
Right. But at the same time, we do have a special IRG discount code, which will assist you in saving some money on your Porcfest tickets. Do you want to announce that?
Yeah, it applies to adult tickets only, and it will save you 10%. And the discount code you would use is IRG with the plus sign, PF. And I could put that in the chat, or we could share it later if you want that information. But yeah,
IRG, the plus sign, and what?
PF for Porcfest.
Yeah, okay.
You just imagine a heart around it. IRG plus PF with a heart around it. Except I can't code a heart.
I didn't even know that code until just now, so I'm gonna make sure I write it down and give it to some of my clients.
Yeah.
Is there, I've been asking you questions. Is there anything that you wanted to cover that I haven't covered in any of the questions I've asked you?
Well, what are you most excited about, Jack?
Well, I'm excited because all the Porcfests that I've gone to, I've worked at least 8 and 10 hours in a tent doing presentations. One an hour for at least six or 7 hours during the day, and I've really never had an opportunity to see Porcfest, to be honest with you. I would do my presentations, you know, all typically real estate related. Obviously, I would invite other speakers to come in and do presentations, but I'd still have to sit there and organize and change the sets or put up the PowerPoint presentation, whatever it might be. This year, I'm really pleased with the decisions that IRG made to create more of a lounge, which is going to include food. It's going to include some cocktails. We're going to have drinks during the day and into the evening.
And mocktails. And mocktails.
And mocktails, that's right. Not all of them have alcohol. And again, because of some other regulation, we can't charge for them. So it's not a money-making event. It's just a social event, which I'm excited about. I am excited that we're going to have.
I should say that's only the cocktails that we're not charging, because we've actually partnered with a vendor who is going to be providing the food and the mocktails and such. So I don't want everyone to think that they're going to be fed for free, because obviously that's not the case.
Well, I guess I'm excited about the cocktail part of it, not the mocktail. So yeah, that's true. We also will have a food vendor there.
Yeah.
We're limiting the real estate presentations essentially to 2 a day during our time there. We picked the most popular real estate presentations that we have done over the years, and we're still going to be very informative for people who have seen those presentations before, and they include presentations like our house hacking presentation, our regions presentation.
That's my hacked house.
Your hacked house that you're in right now, right? And others. And then in addition to that, we've invited other people to come in and speak and utilize the tent at no charge. We're not looking to make it a revenue producing vehicle for ourselves. As well, we've also opened it up for the FSP event of the regions across the country, which I look forward to seeing, to being a part of that as well again.
Yeah, and I'm very excited that we're going to have an actual lounge space in there as well, because I do find that often folks I'm an introvert. I say it all the time. I'm an introvert. I get up on stage and I do my presentation, and then I pretty much want to melt into a puddle. But obviously, as a realtor, I also recognize that Porcfest is a time for people to ask questions, and sometimes they don't get up, they don't think of their question until the presentation is over. So the great thing about the way we've structured our hub this year is that people can just sit down with anybody on our team and really talk and ask the difficult questions that you might not feel comfortable asking in front of other people, or you didn't think of until later. Really get to know us as people, because everybody on this real estate team has moved here. We're all dedicated to the FSP and the mission of moving people to New Hampshire. We're all movers of various stages of our life. We have Amber with her new baby and 3 other kids. My kids are mostly grown. We've got, Jack and Reagan, more on the grandparent side of life. And so, wherever you are in your life, we can help match you with, somebody who might understand what you need better. And I don't want to speak negatively, like only moms can understand what moms need, because that's not at all true. And we have tons of great feedback from all of our agents about how helpful they've been in navigating the difficult real estate market that we have here.
Well, it's not only a difficult real estate market, but it's also the most stressful time in anyone's life whenever they're changing homes and whenever they're moving from one abode to another. And it's more difficult. We have to, as agents, we have to be a lot more sensitive to the anxieties of the families that we move here from out of state, and dealing with them and selecting the right properties, making sure that they are that they're comfortable, that they understand our entire system of life here within our community, and
Yeah.
Bringing them in as part of the fold. So we're really truly ambassadors and counselors, and at the bottom of the list, real estate agents. We do enjoy spending the time with our clients and making sure that their needs and their wants and their cares are taken care of first.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like more like a matchmaker. Like, oh, you've got kids this age that are interested in this. Well, this family has similar things, and checking with the other family. Would you like me to introduce? And then help people integrate into the community, because it really makes a difference on whether they're going to enjoy their time. And a great way to integrate is to volunteer. So
Lord knows my weeks are filled with volunteering. We probably should just go ahead and wrap up now. And if anyone views this, because it is being recorded, and we will have it posted on the IRG YouTube page shortly. If anybody comes up with a question, you know how to contact Constance, myself, and all of our other team members, which we probably ought to mention, and that includes Aubrey Freeman, and Amber Daves, and my wife Reagan Elliott, my brother-in-law Michael Elliott, and missing somebody.
Teresa. Last name I always say wrong, but it's Borrohays, I believe.
Okay. Teresa's the newest member of our group. She is a Free Stater, and she is definitely a go-getter and energetic to help and help get new movers here to the state.
Yeah, and she's actually moved a long time ago. She was an early mover. She moved around the same time I did. So she's been here. I've been here 10 years. So I think she's coming up to her 10-year anniversary soon. So newer real estate agent. but a long time resident of New Hampshire now.
Okay. Well, thank you all.
Thanks.